Aloha, Nityanandam. Good evening. Welcome to day 12 of the 25 days of Force Majeure Christmas. Let's start with a prayer. You're welcome to say the prayer that you and your tradition say for that communion oneness. I personally prefer just silence. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So today, I am goodness. What's going on? Got a full packed thing going on here. So for today, I am going to be going over teamwork, what it is, how can we get an interfaith, international teamwork going. And it's very challenging to be aware of each other and the things that are going on globally. You want to come and do a little debut? Mono meow? Yeah. Okay, say hi to everybody. Yeah. Okay, you're gonna cruise right here? Alright, you can cruise with me. So what is teamwork? And so I wanted to go over that. That's like the focus that sharing about today. You gonna go down? You gonna go down? Yeah? 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 You're so cute. Alright. But before we go into that, I wanted to share a very interesting, very serious report that came out from the UN. Again, for me, the UN is just another association gang that's bullying. But that doesn't mean that they don't have good intentions. They have good intentions, and just like the rest of my presentation, you will understand that that's just one circle of beings who choose to associate. So I'm gonna share that with you. And this report, yeah, you got a little belly monster, is called, it's by the United Nations. It's in their digital library. I did put the link in the description if you want to go and read it for yourself. It's the Right Food Resolution adopted by the General Assembly. Meow. Okay, you go play with my color face. All right. So in this, there was a voting human rights question, including alternative approaches for improving the effective enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms, human rights advancements. See, the thing is, get all this words, right, and all this writing and whatever, but fundamentally it really comes down to everybody just simply being where their feet are and start trying to help where their feet actually are. So there's a voting there of the 191 countries that are associating and part of that club, 176 countries said yes. Only one country said no. 7 abstentions and 7 non-voting. So who is the one country that voted no, that food is a human right? And we scroll all the way down and look at it right here. United States. The United States voted no. Now, what's very curious for me is that I was looking for Britain, and Britain is nowhere to be found on this list. Show you the bees. You can go click the link and you'll find out for yourself. Britain is nowhere to be found. So I was like, well, maybe they're not under Britain. So I went under G, Great Britain, and even then, nowhere to be found. So I found that very interesting. So it just, all of these things where I collect information, and it just kind of validates more and more about things. So like I shared some days ago about United States of America, there's a difference. The Boston Tea Party is very much still going on. Britain is winning because, how do you know? Bar Association, the laws by which everything are made, everybody gotta go into college debt slavery to pledge allegiance to the bar, which is British accredited regency. And Britain, for a curious reason, also is in charge of the credit scores of Americans. So going into college debt slavery to pledge allegiance to Britain, to practice American law on the continental US, here in Hawaii practicing American law in Hawaii Kingdom during a war zone. And the UN recognizes what's called laws of war. Those apply. And so it gets very interesting, the way that there's self-righteous justifications for hypocrisies. And so because I'm only really talking to my peer group, which are spiritual leaders, popes, supreme pontiffs, all of them, which is technically family leaders, right? Family leaders, essentially. But that's what's very curious about what I found today in what came across my feed. This is the other thing that came across my feed today, which I found interesting, because one of the things is I do all kinds of this and that graphics and such, and what I was finding is that there's the British flag all over the place. And then I see this meme. I have not confirmed these claims, but I thought I'd just share it anyway, because, you know, just one more thing to, maybe you can help figure this one out. The most common national celebration on earth is a holiday shared by 65 countries on different days in each country on an annual basis. This averages out to being celebrated somewhere on the planet Earth once every 6 days. Independence from the British. So the colonizers' social constructs and their mental setup is very interesting. So how is that interesting? Because we're talking about social norms that for me I don't resonate with, but many people do. Here is one of the where is it? This is where it's very interesting. What is this? Sorry, I'm just like, okay. Did it even make it in? Yeah, here we go. These one-liners that creating norms like crabs in a bucket, right? Or building a team so strong they don't know who the leader is, right? That's like, from my perspective, it's hierarchical constructs, which are one-liner norms, creating psychological cages, keeping us from collaborating and getting creative, thinking with no box. There's thinking outside the box, and then there's thinking with no box, and I tend to like to think with no box. The box doesn't exist. And the whole straitjacketing of all of different things of those constructs, including ownership, land ownership, cages, dividing, all of that kind of stuff. That's like being owned, right? Those things. Those are constructs. And we're not mindless zombies, and we're not crabs. We're actually consciousness that is very much capable of working together. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find. There is that initial flow, and then there's the jumping in, and then here we go, right? That's not how it's happening. Our consciousness, and we are very capable of working together, right? I'm not sure if you've seen this video of the Marines trying to climb the wall together because they are working together to get over the wall. And they don't have anyone left behind, right? There's no abandoning. There's no one left behind. There is always working together somehow, some way. But that's always the commitment. Whoever is committed to that process, right? That keeps showing up. And in the case of volunteer armies or volunteer work, or I don't even want to call it armies. It's those who are called, right? Those who are called to do whatever is being shown to them to do, right? And the thing is those kind of hierarchical word choices, everything, all of that is a hierarchical construct, and a lot of people are caged in that construct. So this is a quick story where, for me, on the crabs in a bucket, instead of focusing on trying to alpha through it, I prefer to be like, no, we're a team. How can we lift and bring each other up, right? From that family perspective, the teamwork to get from where it's been so decimated, where there's no sense of family, no sense of community, the instability, insecurity, anxiety, depression, because there's no stability.
You know, it's funny, being here on the banks of the Mississippi River, it kind of reminds me of a story that took place in Ketchikan, Alaska. And the only way I ended up in Ketchikan, Alaska was because my wife's grandparents in 2005 decided they're going to take the whole family on a cruise. And listen, I was $126,000 in debt. I had started 2 businesses and both were failing. They just weren't making it. And I was pretty frustrated. And I got to tell you, I was in a bit of a dark place. And I could not have afforded a cruise to Alaska. But thankfully, my wife's family paid for it, and we ended up there. We were newlyweds, right, broke, and we're walking on the shore there in Ketchikan, Alaska, and I see all these like crab fishermen. They're casting out a net, and then they'll pull the net in, and they'll pull out a crab or two, and throw it in a 5-gallon bucket. So as we're walking along, I see this one guy, older gentleman. He's got a 5-gallon bucket, and he's got a little bit of water in there, and he's got the lid to the bucket sitting on the ground, and he's casting his net in the water. He waits for a while, and he pulls out some crabs, and he puts them in the bucket. When I look inside, I see about 5 or 6 crabs, all just kind of piled up. And there was this one crab that seemed pretty ambitious to me. And this little guy was crawling on top of all the other crabs real slowly. And then when he got to the very top, he started reaching up to the rim of that bucket and pulling itself up. Now, when I saw this, of course, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to tell this crab fisherman that his crab is about to make a break for it and probably run right back into the ocean. And so I go, hey, sir, you're about to lose one of your crabs. You might want to do something. Put a lid on it. He goes, watch what happens next. And as this little ambitious crab is trying to free itself and pull itself up and over the rim of the bucket, all the other crabs in the bottom reach up, grab it by its hind legs, and pull it right down, right? Now, in that moment, my wife is standing right there next to me, and I'm hitting her. I'm saying, can you believe what's happening here? Can you see what just happened? We all have crabs like that in our lives, right? We all have people that want to pull us down. We all have negative people, doubters, haters, people who criticize us, people who don't think we'll make it because you're not smart enough, you didn't go to school for that, you don't have the money to afford that, you don't have the resources, you don't have the experience. You got to be like that little ambitious crab. Shake off the fucking haters and the criticizers and the doubters and surround yourself with badasses who are rooting for you and want to see you succeed.
So for me, I choose to not perpetuate that narrative. That's narrative perpetuating. We are human beings. We're not crabs, right? How can we contribute? And the thing is it's part of the whole thing is everyone is tuned into WIFM. What's in it for me? And everyone has their own ideas or aspirations or whatnot. But fundamentally, at the end of the day, everybody wants a stable, secure home, stable, secure family, right? The real things that cause real bliss, peace, shanti, starts there, right? And but first it starts with us individually. So this is where, for me, I like to look at it from this perspective. Instead of crabs pulling each other down, what all fundamentally worked this way.
My old squall leader, one of my old squall leaders, one of my old squall leaders used to fucking cut down trees in his yard. I wish I was kidding.
in that perspective, no one part of that is like, well, I gotta do this. No, it's just like the job gotta get done. It doesn't matter how it gets done. Whoever's gonna go is gonna go, right? That's how it should be, even globally, right? What the the challenge is even with me trying to reach out, it gets very difficult to because it's all capitalistic centric. And I get it. Very few people going to just drop everything and be like, yeah, no, I ain't, nope, 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 right? Because why? Right now I'm able to explain things, but it took years, 8 years, and I'm still not done of just sitting and listening, sitting and listening, sitting and listening to dialects of legalese or whatever, and prayer. That's the only thing that's getting me through this, because I'm like, no, somehow a global peace treaty has to happen. And if it's going to be, it's up to me somehow, and in that prayer get shown what to do. And one of the challenging things is to communicate with the understanding I don't take sides. This is the problem that I am seeing. And that gets interpreted by individuals in doesn't matter, and that's what I'm running across. And that's why for me I am very much supportive and promote and encourage people to attend Paramashivoham completion, do completion, because with that completion, all of those lenses start dropping so that an actual connection and communication can happen instead of pain pattern filters with ego of fear and greed of whatnot, instead of just plain pure communication with transparency. And that's part of the problem. People are not transparent. Very, very much not straight and clear. Very much. Unless it is for, no, division. Me, you, cut. Right? That's not communion, and that's not oneness. That's not inclusivity at all. And so it does get challenging for me. Hold on, I need to flow through. So I'm going to start here with because where my feet are, ancient Hawaiian constructs, social constructs documented in the Tales from the Night Rainbow. This is on page 74. I am very much aware there are 2 versions of this book. I'm still looking for the other version. Again, if you have that version and you know what I'm talking about, that this page 74 isn't lining up with your page 74, please message me. So basically, I will read this paragraph here. So, in time, other children of our family came to my feet to learn. I did not share things I had learned in my years at the halal with any, but those I knew would keep them in family, for we now lived in a Christian society. Things such as reincarnation could not be spoken, and saying we talked to our ancestors was heresy. I tried to make all of them understand the Hawaiian way, the Hawaiian point of view. I taught them to be proud of who they were and of their heritage. I spent a great deal of time trying to correct the history of Hawaii being taught in the government school. I continuously stressed ohana to them, and how the family used to rule itself. Everywhere on planet Earth was as such. That's why we are all gods and goddesses. And for me, I am standing to, I am saying, advocating that Tales from the Night Rainbow is an actual holy book with genealogy inside and documentation of power manifestation in it. And it is a holy book, and I feel that every Kanaka Maoli should have it in their home. And I'm very firm on that. Shoot. We're all neighbors in a global neighborhood, and each one religion, lifestyle, or whatnot is one home in the global neighborhood. When one dharma or one home is too serious in competition, that's how it becomes war. Even within the home, even within a household, there are humans, little humans. Some people have animals, cats, dogs. Those are like their own religions, right? Their own spirit guides, right? It is not beyond our capacity to really understand and start living that inclusivity lifestyle. Because those who pray together stay together, regardless of who they call upon as God. Finish. So it gets very interesting, because even with AI, there's a lot of panic, hesitancy with AI. It, kind of like the when the sewing machine came out, those who only sew by hand, the ugly ones, like I don't work at it, I don't practice it. Maybe I should, but there are those who practice it, but they can't keep up with a machine. Same thing. There are tradition or people who still exist. This is why I'm sharing in that love. In that love. I came across this post. The San people, also formally referred to as Bushmen, are members of different Kyo, Tu'u, or Xa speaking cultures. These are the earliest known cultures in South Africa, spanning from territories like Nambia, Angola, Lesotho, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. My apologies if I didn't pronounce those correctly. The San are among the oldest cultures on Earth and are believed to be the oldest human ancestors, with DNA tests proving they are the direct descendants of the first Homo sapiens. Although they have no official leader, they make decisions as a group where males and females are equal. So when it comes to the consciousness development, consciousness grows on the timeline of eternity and not one life. And to compare apples and oranges and to expect like that graphic, right? That school graphic of climb a tree. That's not possible. that's like very much like it's very abusive. It's very abusive, and there's no love in it. So doing things from that space of love. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up that. Sorry. So I was trying to find the graphic of the test of climbing trees. And so that's where it gets very ugly. It gets very, very ugly when there we go, I found it. Top of that, my mouse ran out of batteries, and so I'm using the mouse pad, and I'm not really care for it. But for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. That is very, very ridiculous, especially when technically people just need to grow food, right? The basics to have a fulfilling life, community-based, and have a fulfilling life of relationships and fun, right? There's just too much stress, and all of that stress is enslavement based, that mentality of enslavement based, which is not family centric. And what happens is the posturing to disempower mothers and fathers to be powerless, feel powerless, and surrender their kids to corporate whatever. And then all they do is mimic what they would be learning at home anyway. So with that, that's what it is. So with that, I wanted to share another video called The Philosophy of Liberty. So what is liberty? And because there's so much posturing going on, what that means and where someone is overstepping their bounds of what is consent, from my opinion. This is my opinion. So I wanted to share this. And this video was put together by someone, I forgot who put it together, but it's from the book written by Ken Schooland, who is a resident of Oahu. He and his wife hold a monthly dinner at their home called the Foolish Things, and they discuss everything from what is liberty to school contracts or whatever, all of those things. So bless them. I used to attend their gatherings as well and learned a lot of things, especially about liberty. So I am very much sincerely appreciative of them and their efforts to keep liberty alive.
The philosophy of liberty is based on the principle of self-ownership. You own your life. To deny this is to imply that another person has a higher claim on your life than you do. No other person or group of persons owns your life, nor do you own lives of others. You exist in time, future, present, and past. This is manifest in life, liberty, and the product of your life and liberty. To lose your life is to lose your future. To lose your liberty is to lose your present. And to lose the product of your life and liberty is to lose that portion of your past that produced it. A product of your life and your liberty is your property. Property is the fruit of your labor, the product of your time, energy, and talents. Property is that part of nature which you turn to valuable use. Property is the property of others that is given to you by voluntary exchange and mutual consent. Two people who exchange property voluntarily are both better off, or they wouldn't do it. Only they may rightfully make that decision for themselves. At times, some people use force or fraud to take from others without voluntary consent. The initiation of force or fraud. To take life is murder. To take liberty is slavery. And to take property is theft. It is the same whether these actions are done by one person acting alone, by the many acting against the few, or even by officials with fine hats. You have the right to protect your own life, liberty, and justly acquired property from the forceful aggression of others. And you may ask others to help defend you. But you do not have the right to initiate force against the life, liberty, and property of others. Thus, you have no right to designate some person to initiate force against others on your behalf. You have the right to seek leaders for yourself. But you have no right to impose rulers onto others. No matter how officials are selected, they are only human beings, and they have no rights or claims that are higher than those of any other human beings. Regardless of the imaginative labels for their behavior, or the numbers of people encouraging them, officials have no right to murder, to enslave, or to steal. You cannot give them any rights that you do not have yourself. Since you own your life, you are responsible for your life. You do not rent your life from others who demand your obedience. Nor are you a slave to others who demand your sacrifice. You choose your own goals based on your own values. Success and failure are both the necessary incentives to learn and to grow. Your action on behalf of others or their action on behalf of you is virtuous only when it is derived from voluntary mutual consent. For virtue can exist only where there is free choice. This is the basis of a truly free society. It is not only the most practical and humanitarian foundation for human action, it is also the most ethical. Problems in the world that arise from the initiation of force by government have a solution. The solution is for the people of the earth to stop asking government officials to initiate force on their behalf. Evil does not arise only from evil people, but also from good people who tolerate the initiation of force as a means to their own ends. In this manner, good people have empowered evil people throughout history. Having confidence in a free society is to focus on the process of discovery in the marketplace of values, rather than to focus on some imposed vision or goal. Using governmental force to impose a vision on others is intellectual sloth, and typically results in unintended, perverse consequences. Achieving a free society requires courage to think, to talk, and to act, especially when it is easier to do nothing.
Produced by Lux Lucre, narrated by Graham White. But the book was written by Kent, and he lives on Oahu. So, I want to move forward into some of the things that I have found here in Hawaii Kingdom to address some, or share. It's not even address, it's just sharing what is the dynamics of what I've found, what it is that is here in Hawaii. And so Kailasa has what is called or, and I found it very shocking and surprising that His Excellency Mr. Tejendra Sharma Podal of Nepal, the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, is an honorary consul general of the nation of Hawaii. When I saw that, I was shocked. I was like, wow, interesting. And so there are multiple international narratives going on, and I did include the link to it, but here is the website that I took the snapshot of. nationofhawaii.org. My understanding is that this is Bumpy's group, and he has a full website. Go through the website. My apologies, I don't have a mouse. My mouse is not working, so it's all manual right now. But there's international appointments for the nation of Hawaii. There are multiple others who are having claims to king with equal websites. wanted to share Kailasa's website as well. So each nurture has their own thought currents, and with those thought currents, so this is celebrating Kailasa collaborates with the UN for free global education globally. For us, everything is digital, so wherever there's Wi-Fi, it's pretty much instant university. Temples are universities and embassies and immigration centers as well. So that's what it is for Hindu Kailasa, and how they've been able to set everything up, but not just Kailasa. So I will, what I want to do is share the liberty, or the liberty that Hindus have. And one of the things is that earlier this year, or this was last month, there was what was called the World Hindu Congress. They had a gathering or meeting or whatnot, or they seem to continuously have. They are separate identity from Kailasa, and from what I can gather looking at their organization, they have not gotten to the recognized as a nation level kind of a I don't even, because I'm just this is like fresh whatnot, I'm still digesting and processing this, and for me, you know, there's too much pressure on all of this and that presentation, and I'm just more like, no, we can get along, and I'm not afraid to just be fully transparent and not covet anything. So I'm still processing what the words are for describing this, but just like Hawaii Kingdom has multiple factions, which are just families, the brother and sister have their own whatever, right? Kids go off and do their own thing. It's the same thing. And so what I want to share is the truth about what, because there's 10,000 plus indigenous cultures and whatnot, but one main one is the Shivites. And so I'm going to share a video on Swamiji sharing on the open architecture of the heart and love of Shiva.
Agama, Kamikagama, as revealed by Mahadeva, nowhere Mahadeva says these agamas should be practiced and taught only by particular community people. No. He says very clearly, Shiva Vipraihi. Shiva Vipra means followers of Shiva. So understand the authority to read, practice, preach, share agamas belongs to anybody who decides to follow Shiva. That's all. The word Shiva Vipra cannot be translated as particular community. See, in Amnaya Patati, Adi Shankara very clearly declares the person who occupies his pita should be Yoni Brahmana, means born in Brahmana Yoni, born to Brahmin mother. Oh, it does not say Brahmin father. Exactly. Anyhow, let's not get into the controversy. It says born to Brahmin mother. He makes it very clear. Who is a born Brahmin? He only has to sit in that seat. He doesn't say practicing Brahmin. Here, if Mahadeva wants to restrict this knowledge of Agama to certain community which comes by birth, he would have described it very clearly, because he goes to the extent of describing the measurement of your toothstick. When he is in the mood of giving such elaborate, clear description, not just the kind of a stick you should use for the brushing, the length and even thickness it describes. When he goes to that extent, he not saying this belongs to certain community by birth, the right or the authority goes by birth. He doesn't say. He didn't say anywhere. He says very clearly, Shiva Vipra, followers of Shiva. So, anybody decides to practice devotion to Shiva, who decides to follow Shiva, you have the right and authority to follow, read, practice, preach Shaivagamas. So please understand. Please understand. By revealing this to all of you and requesting all of you to align your life, I am not doing anything against the instruction or will of Mahadeva. I am only doing exactly as per his instruction. So, I am very clearly telling you, all of you have adhikara, right to read, practice, live, preach Shaivagamas.
So with that understanding about Hinduism and the 10,000 plus sampradayas, lineages, as well as the right to start your own or a new one or whatnot, is there. There is a clip. Start your own with your own deity. If what you are seeking is not available, you can create your own deity as well. Those are liberties in Hinduism without discrimination or bashing, because we all honor and respect consciousness, and honor and respect each other for that consciousness. So when it comes to Kailasa, is not part of and separate from the Hindu Congress. The had many attendees, including the Kauai Monastery. This right here. This gentleman, Acharya Arumuganatha Swami. He is managing editor for Hinduism Today, but is located from the Kauai Monastery. It took me about 18 months to figure out the Kauai monastery, because when it comes to the situationship called Hawaii, and for me, being Hindu and taking full responsibility for my Hindu brothers and sisters despite different sampradaya, and that's why it took so long for me to find out what who they were. And to my understanding is that they're from Sri Lanka and did an exit. So here's another attendee of that World Hindu Conference, Sadhguru Bodhinath Velian Swami. So he's also in Kauai Monastery. I did reach out to them with no response regarding Hawaii is not America. No dialogue. They also have their own website. Here. They're saying we support nearly 1,000 Hindu temples in the US. Help us to help them. So basically, my understanding is they are from Sri Lanka, and there's a lot of Sri Lankan pride there for their blessed life, yet there's so much, not just them, they are not the only ones complicit or guilty of hypocrisy and blood title. So is every other church, spiritual organization, temple. Everyone is equally responsible for having blood title being in Hawaii. And so that's why I do what I do, how I doing it, because of from that integrity. I don't participate in American infrastructure, 501c3s, bank account, all of that, because those are infrastructural vehicles of invasion in a war zone. Because of the misunderstanding and perpetuated legal Bermuda Triangle for the civilians, but I really don't, just based off of some of the things that I understand and know, the airlines are fully aware that Hawaii is not America, based off of some of the documentations that they have their visitors sign, international visitors sign before they let them off the plane. So there's a lot of things that are going on that is not pono, but continue to hide things. So just like there are multiple Hindu kingdoms, and I would rather just call them corporations or trusts, because that's what we're talking about, and that's been going on for a very long time. So instead of saying kingdom, it's better to call them trusts and corporations. So they're, just like I shared the Bumpy's organization with the OMA Award recipient, the Nepal person. There's another person who is claiming to be king. His name is His Majesty Edmund Keli'ipaki Silva Jr. He is, from my understanding, because I did sit around with a group of friends to give a call to their office, and the executive assistant answered sharing that they are recognized as the king, or King Silva is recognized as the king of Hawaii Kingdom by the UN, and with further questioning that kind of devolved to different things. But those are some of the things that I'm finding, because in this investigative mediation to somehow bring together teamwork or inspire, that's its own whatever, because a lot of this is due to lack of transparency. The right story isn't being shared. There's still a lot of things that I'm being exposed to due to history only being perpetuated through olelo, meaning through verbal transmission, nothing written. And that's where for me, initially I was like, well, it should be up there, but at the same time, with all of these different UN initiatives and from intellectual theft to genocide to cultural genocide, erasure, whatever, I'm still kind of meditating on that. Is it worth it because of all of the different stuff? So these are some of the things that I'm finding, and of course there's many more perspectives. Apparently King Silva, from my understanding, I still need to get more clarity on that, is gaining his stance on the Queen's diary that she left. Something in her diary is what he's standing on for his claim as king. So this one is where everyone refers to for Keanu Sai, who has done a lot of reading, research, putting together, and compiling here. He's the intermediate regency. He's acting regent. So he does go to the UN for his efforts or whatnot. There are a couple other people, but because they don't have a website or this and that I can share, I'm just not going to say. If you know of others and that I don't know of, please let me know. There's a lot. So, thank you for your patience. Wow. This is interesting. What's going on? So with the I'm just gonna go with this then. This is what happens when the mouse is not working and trying to use the roller, the mouse pad is what it is. So with the Boston Tea Party still going on, the it really is war of all of whatever's back there is still going on. Still going on, the Boston Tea Party. And so one of the things that is interesting is the recent repudiation of the Doctrine of Discovery by the Pope, that he did earlier this year. And so for me, if you're going to say or take back and just kind of step away from the whole doctrine of discovery of Columbus, then I feel one should not have a problem to call upon your followers or even encourage everyone else to do the right thing and return blood title, because all of it is broken treaties. Broken treaties are broken contracts. We're just talking about contracts. That's why force majeure, all contracts become null and void. So this is his, if you want to read it, it was on March 30th earlier this year, 2023. So when it comes to for spiritual or consciousness monocropping, meaning only one God theory, right? That's actually spiritual terrorism that's rampant on planet Earth, which is consciousness monocropping. When one does that, what does one do? Creates hierarchy. Hierarchy, just like everything can be, everything is less than one generation away from extinction. Everything is less than one generation to be fully empowered. And so that's from where I'm speaking into existence. But hierarchy is the first stone in the bowl of light. Why? Because you can't look someone in the eye because you have a knife behind your back, right? Or maybe you can, but they'll be able to see it. That's why I'm saying that mothers to initiate third eye and kundalini, so that all the without discrimination, there's no, just like how Shiva doesn't put a qualifier on it, mothers will simply initiate their children when shared how to do an umbilical cord initiation. So everyone lives powers from day one, and nobody can take advantage of anybody else for anything. The next stone in the bowl of light is spiritual straitjacketing or consciousness monocropping, where people will say you can't do this and you can't do that. You can only connect to God, goddesses, or cosmos the way I'm telling you to, or whatnot. And that's full disregard to unique relationships. That's inserting yourself between someone and their relationship, and that is also spiritual terrorism. There's a lot of people who have no clue about that because they have been trampled on, and so that's all that they know. They don't know anything else, and so that's why I'm sharing the perspectives that I am. So those are the first two stones in your bowl of light. The next stones in the bowl of light are self-doubt, self-hatred, self-denial, right? Those become shadows or rocks stones in your heart that the light won't be able to shine through. And so there's a lot of talk about that bowl of light, but where is the content? I'm sharing my perspective on it. This has not been taught to me. This is me looking at the whole thing, using my third eye and staring into it. What is this? What are they trying to communicate? And this is what I have come up based off of my own looking in on this with my third eye. Well, why? Well, ancient Hawaiians were power manifestors, and Hindus are power manifestors, and I follow Nityananda Swamiji, who is the only one on planet Earth freely training on powers. And so when I look at the similarities, to me, they use different words. Like Ku is like Shiva, Hina is like Shakti, right? The divine mother and divine father. Because without both, life does not happen. And I'll read the quote that I pulled. Our people, the pre-Ali'i, used the upright stone to designate the father of all, Ku, and the prostrating stone to designate the mother of all, Hina. So for Hindus, it's the linga and the yoni, right? But for Hindus, the linga is actually the column of light when Shiva himself landed on planet Earth as that column of light. There's a lot of atrocity material on Hindus and twisting it based off of those who are body-centric. There are 4 kinds of people, and people who are reading things from a first-person perspective instead of a fourth-person perspective. Very different in the understanding and interpretations, and also translations, if you will. There's a lot of atrocity material. I'm sure there's a lot of atrocity material for Hawaiians as well. It's everywhere, because what are we talking about? We're talking about colonization by the British. Now, the British aren't the only ones, but for here it is. But for Hindus and Bharat being attacked by the Mongols and the Islamists and different groups to do their violence, and Hindus live ahimsa and avoid those things. So some of the funny things that I find is this. I really like this. I don't even know who made this, but I want to give blessings to who made this, because this literally is what it is. I want to be my full 8-dimensional self, but if you were, you wouldn't have a body. And then on that side, but that self wanted to be human, so this is what it is. I find that very funny.